Hello and welcome to the podcast. This is Ron's Amazing Stories, where we play tales to take you away from today. Now, I know I've said this before, but we have a gargantuan show this time.
What's that you say?
I mean to say a really big shoe.
Oh my gosh! Did you hear that?
We have a dead Arab mackerel, murderous women, trumpeting elephants, and a little girl lost in a storm drain.
Wow!
So, strap yourself in and prepare yourself for this 5-minute mystery.
Another 5-minute mystery.
This 5-minute mystery is being brought to you by TuneIn Radio. Enjoy the largest selection of free sports, music, talk, and news radio from around the world. If you want to hear it, TuneIn Radio has it. We do all the work, so all you have to do is listen. That's TuneIn.com.
In Shepherd's Hotel in Cairo, a smooth-skinned, fair-faced Englishman is speaking on the phone.
Detective Lindsay, this is James Middleton, room 517, Shepherd's Hotel. Can you come over right away? There's been a murder. Detective Lindsay, a murder. Please hurry.
James Middleton?
Yes, come in, Detective Lindsay. Glad you're here.
An Arab. Deader than a mackerel, too. Looks like he's been dead for several hours. Where's the corpse?
Benny Sauter, jewel merchant from Mecca.
Mecca, eh? When did you discover the body?
I was right here at the time of the murder.
Fine. An eyewitness right on the spot. Can you identify the murderer, Middleton?
I'm afraid this eyewitness isn't going to be much help. Unfortunately, I had my eyes closed.
You what?
I was out cold, unconscious for about 3 hours and a half.
That's tough, all right. Maybe you're lucky to be alive.
You're right, Inspector.
What brings you to Cairo, my friend, in the hottest season of the year?
I'm an engineer for the British.
When did you arrive in Cairo?
Yesterday. I registered yesterday morning.
I see. And you had arranged to meet Sauter here?
Yes, I wanted to buy some jewels while I was here. Rubies and diamonds to be set in a ring for my wife.
I see.
As we were looking at the jewels, someone knocked on the door. I opened it. There stood another Arab. He started toward the center of the room, then turned on me and struck a lightning blow. I went out like a light.
You have got a nasty bump, all right.
Sauter got what he deserved, the dirty double-crossing rat. Insisted on cash and plenty of it.
How much did you have?
The equivalent of 10,000 pounds in Arabian banknotes.
Quite a lot of money for you to be carrying around.
Yes, but I plan to spend it right away. Funny, isn't it, how naive we can be?
How do you mean?
It's obvious enough. Sauter needed an accomplice to rob me. But he didn't figure out that his greedy cutthroat friend would turn the tables on him, murder him, and make away with the jewels and money, too.
Middleton, you've suffered a great financial loss. But don't let it worry you. You can postpone that trip to the Suez indefinitely. Sorry to spoil your plans, but you're under arrest for the murder of Benny Sauter.
How did Detective Lindsay know that Middleton was the murderer? Do you know? In a moment, Detective Lindsay will tell you himself. But first...
Okay, I want to know what this detective has got. I think it's a whole lot of nothing. I guess it's possible that our guy talks too much, but I don't know. What do you say we head back and find out? Something's not right for sure. This 5-minute mystery is being brought to you by TuneIn Radio. Enjoy the largest selection of free sports, music, talk, and news radio from around the world. That's TuneIn.com.
And now, back to our mystery.
Middleton, your alibi has beautiful logic up to a certain point. Like all criminals, in order to clear yourself, you go one step too far. Sauter was innocent. Your imaginary murderer was quite credible, but you didn't dare to stop there. The Arabs are a strange people. It may interest you to know about one of their strange customs. In the interior, people resort to barter. In the cities, British pounds, Turkish pounds, and Indian rupees are used. But since the time of the great Mohammed, The religious laws of the Mohammedans have prohibited the use of banknotes.
Okay, well, it turns out our guy's a real blabbermouth. Perhaps he should have just went with, I don't know, I was out like a light and woke up to a dead guy? Well, this 5-minute mystery was brought to you by TuneIn Radio. Enjoy the largest selection of free sports, music, talk, and news radio from around the world, including Ron's Amazing Stories. If you want to hear it, TuneIn Radio has it. We do all the work, so all you have to do is listen.
What's that you say?
Well, I have my TuneIn Radio story for you. It all has to do with some of the history of the show. When I first started this podcast in 2011, I didn't have any idea of what I was doing. I certainly didn't understand social media, how it worked, or how to promote a podcast. I had to teach myself everything, and it was a slow start. You have much to learn when creating a podcast. What hardware do I need? What software? What is compression? What bit rate should I record at? What music can I play? Who's going to host my podcast? HTML what? RSS, CSS, iframes, enclosures. It will all make you go mad. Then you have to think about, what is my podcast going to be about? You have to research, find out what's hot, what's not. Ask yourself, what do I know that other people might like? And if you don't ask, am I passionate about this, you'll never make it in the podcast world. If you don't love what you're talking about, it will become work and nothing more than a bunch of words thrown together. Once you figure all of that out, the work begins. How do I get my podcast out there? Thank goodness there are people who care about your work as much as you do. Liberated Syndication pioneered the system to host and publish podcasts in 2004. And since then has grown to be the largest leading podcast network with over 2.6 billion downloads in 2014. Libsyn hosts over 25,000 shows with 44 million monthly audience members. This is where Ron's Amazing Stories ended up. Libsyn provides everything your podcast needs, except the listeners. It's your job to grow your podcast. Back in 2013, I was still struggling to get listeners. iTunes is great, but they accept just about anybody and everybody. There are 1 billion subscriptions spread across 250,000 unique podcasts, and more than 8 million episodes have been published in the iTunes Store to date. You are a small fish in an ocean of very small fishes. Step in social media and providers like TuneIn Radio. TuneIn is a privately held company based in San Francisco, California. It was founded by Bill Moore in 2002. TuneIn has more than 100,000 broadcast radio stations and 4 million on-demand programs and podcasts from around the world. In May of 2014, TuneIn announced that its service had over 50 million monthly active users. Surely a company of this size would not care about the little guy. Well, it's because of TuneIn that Ron's Amazing Stories exists today. I added my little show to them and it took off. Within the next week, I had over 400 subscribers. I was so thrilled to finally have an audience that drove me to create better content. Today, Ron's Amazing Stories runs on live radio in 9 cities and averages 14,000 downloads per week on the internet. I still only have about 500 subscribers on TuneIn, but it was their passion for the little guy that jump-started me and the show. So, thank you, TuneIn, for being there for me. we have a brand new series to debut on Ron's Amazing Stories. It's called the World Adventurers Club. The setting for the series is a well-to-do gentlemen's club of the type that flourished in the 1890s. There's even an all-male chorus on hand common to those establishments. The year is actually 1932, and the nation is still suffering from the effects of the Great Depression. Recovery is in sight, and listeners of this old-time radio program were offered glimpses of exotic places and extraordinary events without leaving the comfort of their own front room. We will actually play 2 episodes of the show. They were only 15 minutes long, after all. The first is episode number 7. It's called The Land of Death. Now, this one presents women in an interesting light. We at Ron's Amazing Stories do not agree with, but do keep in mind, for the record, it was 1932. So now, find a deep wingback chair, lean back, and prepare to enter a time when most of the world was truly unknown and any exploration revealed wonders, opportunities, and of course, danger.
This is the World Adventurers Club. We invite you to a thrilling and stimulating diversion. To listen to intrepid and glittering soldiers of fortune recount the tales of perplexing phenomena. Adventurers, thrilling you with weird tales of strange people in strange lands. Holland, digging, working, Holland, working like an old gray mule. Oh, freedom, 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 freedom. Praise for freedom like a fool. Chains are fast and they won't come loose. Keep on trying, but it ain't no use. Pining, 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 pining for that freedom day. Freedom, oh, freedom. Gentlemen of the World Adventurers Club, meet a member who has traversed the 4 corners of the globe and has just returned from the strangest town in all Europe. But let him tell you. Mr. Nevins, the newsreel man.
Oh, good evening, Aaron.
When did you get back?
Hello, fellas. I just got in. Haven't even washed up, but wanted to make this meeting.
Hope you got a good story first.
Oh, got a pip this trip. And pay attention, men. I said men, because I got tangled up in a town where man doesn't rate so well.
Indeed? I thought man was the supreme being of the earth.
Well, when I get through with this tale, you'll agree that there's a strange town where man once reigned as king, but who now is really less than the dust.
And he stands for this? Sounds like a fairy tale. Why, since time began, the last word in any town were the men folks.
Well, in this particular town, he has neither the first nor the last word. And I don't mean maybe.
Well, let's draw up the chairs. I want to hear how and why the crown of man was knocked askew.
Yes,
Well,
like to hear that.
being just a newsreel man, I was able to penetrate the mysterious veil of death that hung over a town in Hungary called Tizikert.
You mean you had an actual experience there?
Oh, sure thing. The Cosmopolitan News Service wanted to get a few shots of the peasants of Tizikert on their festival day. At the end of the festivities, a bride and groom were paraded, and just as the couple reached the village square, the groom collapsed and died in the arms of the bride.
Was this the start of the elimination of man in Tizikert?
No, the finish. As the crowd passed on, ignoring the death of the young man, a village priest standing close to me spoke.
The death of that young man is the work of she-devils.
Oh, pardon me, Your Reverence, but I don't quite get you.
100th victim in the last 6 months. Soon there'll be no men left in the village of Tizikert.
Well, haven't you tipped off the police?
They came for Budapest. but found nothing except that death occurred among the men only.
Well, this is rather exciting. Maybe you might want to tell me more.
Look, the widowed bride is coming into the church. Come, let us follow. Perhaps you'd like to question her.
But this is so strange. I would like to sort of get the inside dope if there is any. Maybe I could clear it all up.
Clear it all up? Oh, shh. Wait back here by the door.
Oh, she stopped crying now. Say, who's that old woman following her down the aisle?
She's the old she-devil of the village. Mrs. Soratke is her name. She sees us. She's coming this way.
Good Father, another death has come to us. A young man just married.
A blessing on those who have died. What brings you here?
To comfort the widow. To pray here with her. Poor child. I go.
It's a message to me that the good Lord does not strike that she-devil dead. I feel that she is the instigator of all the deaths.
Is she a husband?
No, he was the first to die.
Well, has she a son?
He died also in a violent spasm.
A female Borgia, perhaps. Any trace of poison in the bodies?
Autopsies prove nothing. Oh, it is horrible, horrible. Oh, why does not the deity send someone to us to end the slaughter of our men?
More women coming into church.
Yes, the old she-devil sent them in. Look, the widow is smiling. Why, that doesn't seem right for one just bereaved, does it?
Well, I'm no detective, Father. Just a newsreel man. But I'll bet my last dollar that mob of women who have just come in are what might be called the Brigade of Death.
That may be true. But what can be done? Everyone stands in awe of them. No one dares to raise his voice against them. Those that do are found dead.
Oh, I see. The men are possessed of a superstitious terror.
Here come more women, filing in to pray.
Yeah, I'll bet they're coming in to pray, but not for the soul of the dead man. Praying for a greater success in finishing off a few more.
Again, I ask, what can be done?
Well, let's go outside. I have a plan.
First, I'll have the church warden ring the Angelus bell. The sun is sinking.
Well, I'll wait out in the road.
Now, my son, what is your plan?
Father, just where does this Mrs. Soratke live?
Just across the road there, the little stone house.
Well, for goodness sake, what's that army of women doing marching down the side road?
Peasant women returning from the fields. They work all day.
Where are all the men? Don't they work?
Not very much. It has always been the custom for the women to work in the fields.
Beasts of burden, eh?
Yes, the husband have sold off all the horses.
Say, look at that stream of women. Women, women, nothing but women.
Silent women. Once they were gay and laughing.
Silent women. That gives me a better idea.
When will it ever end? What is to be done?
Father, I'll meet you at your parish house tonight. I'll solve this riddle, or else I'll be one of the victims. I'll meet you tonight.
At 8 o'clock, just after Vespers. God bless you, my son. Come in. Come in, madam. Oh, what can I do for you?
I fooled you that time, Father.
Oh, upon my soul.
How do you like the makeup?
Oh, why, you look just like a peasant woman. Why, you shaved your mustache. Well, where did you get the clothes from?
Stole them at the inn where I'm stopping.
What do you intend to do now?
Take me over to Mrs. Soratke's house. Introduce me as a poor woman from the adjoining village. Homeless. And leave the rest to me.
But what about your voice? Surely she'll know that you're not a woman when you speak.
Oh, I thought of that. Just tell her I'm unable to speak. Been injured. Lost my voice. I'll let her do the talking. She'll do plenty of it.
It means death if you are discovered.
Well, I'll be on my guard. Let's go.
May heaven protect you. Let us go out this side door.
Ooh, it's dark and windy. Just the night for a murder.
Oh, do not jest. This is serious. Come, stay close to this hedge.
Hey, let's look in the window first.
She's alone. The fiend, probably hatching new deaths.
All right, Father. Knock on the door.
Bless you, my son.
Evening, Father. Come in.
Evening, Mrs. Solatsky. I bring you an unfortunate woman, ill and homeless. Poor soul, she cannot speak. A note from the parish priest recommends her as being honest. She would sleep here tonight. She seeks work in the fields on the morrow.
Sit down, good woman. You are welcome. I'm glad to help one of my sisters. Good night, Father.
Good night, and good luck to you both. I'll stop in the morning.
Good night. Sit here by the fire, good woman. Do you hear well? But cannot speak, eh? Married, I suppose. Your husband beat you, eh? A brute like all the men, eh? Beat the voice out of your throat, eh? The men did that here in Tizakert, but we stopped them. The brutes with their drinking, spending the profits of our labors in the field, but we stopped them. They are paying for it all now. And you can stay here and watch the fun. You can join our band of avenging women. All the wine of the home here is poisoned. Something that I brew myself. As fast as the men, the hated men, drink, just so fast they die. Young or old, those that drink must die. For those that drink the wine become violent and beat us. When they are sober, they do not lick us. As long as they are sober, they are safe. Drunk, they are facing death. We fooled them. We fooled them. 100 have died here in Tizakert. Drunkards are all doomed.
On and on the half-mad woman raved, far into the night. In the morning, the police from the city came, and she repeated her story when she learned who I was.
Was she hung?
Yes, along with many others.
Seems almost unbelievable.
Well, if you doubt it, just write to the Commissioner of Police at Hungary, and he'll tell you that they have erected in the museum there wax figures of the principals in this darkest poison mystery of all Europe.
Nevins, you have aroused a suspicion in me. I'm going to empty every drop of liquor I have at home into the sink. I'm taking no chances on the women in my family.
Me too.
Me too. I'm through drinking. Me for the water wagon.
Zig, beats a bony knuckle, rapping out a rhythm on a silent tune. Dancing master death with a hollow chuckle. Zig, 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 fiddles in the gloom. Zig, 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 ba, zig, zig, ba, 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 ba. The finger of death sends them all into silence. He stands all alone in the evening gray, and then like a ray he folds his mantle and vanishes away.
And now the World Adventurers Club bids you au revoir. Not goodbye, as we will meet you here again at our next meeting, when we transport you on another strange adventure in a strange land.
Our second story is episode number 13. It is called The Elephant's Graveyard. In the 30s, there was a fascination on the subject and was the subject of many jungle movies made at the time. I hope that you enjoy this one.
Once again, you are welcome guests of a unique organization, the World Adventurers Club. Here you meet men from all corners of the globe, men who have braved every danger from the polar seas to the sweltering tropics. It is the custom of this club to hold a series of informal meetings in which various members are called upon to recount their most thrilling experiences. And now the World Adventurers Club invites you to hear a tale of the Royal Road to Adventure.
Give a man a horse he can ride. Give a man a boat he can sail. And strength and wealth is strength and health. On sea the Lord shall fail. Give a man a horse he can ride. Give a man a boat he can sail. And strength and wealth is strength and health. On sea nor shore shall fail. Give a man a girl he can love, and my love, love thee. And his heart is great with the pulse of faith, and home on land, on sea. Give a man a girl he can love, as my love, love thee. And his heart is great with the pulse of faith. And home on land, on sea.
Very nice. Well, Mr. President, who's going to be the speaker of the evening? That's what I want to know.
Gentlemen, if you'll kindly gather round and find your favorite chairs, we shall hear tonight the story of Africa.
Africa, eh?
Who's going to tell it? Who's elected? And I'm going to call upon Captain Ralph Norton to take the floor.
It's up to you, Norton. You're stuck, old man. No stalling, Norton. Let's hear it.
This is very unexpected. I thought I could sneak in and sneak out and nobody would see me.
No, not get away with it.
No, we've got you where we want you.
No escape for you, Norton.
Well, if I'm going to talk, President Johnson is right about one thing. That is, I'll have to talk about Africa. For most all of my expeditions have been devoted to the Dark Continent. And as long as you want my most thrilling adventure, well, that's not very hard to find. But first, let me ask you one question. Have any of you gentlemen who have been in the jungles of Central Africa ever found a dead elephant? An elephant that died a natural death?
Why, no, I never did. Now that I think of it, never saw a dead elephant.
Neither did I. In all my rambling through Africa, I never found the carcass of an elephant. Of course, I had heard the traditional story of a secret valley where elephants went to die, but I never had thought much about it. But then as I pondered over the idea, the more logical it became. The elephant is an instinctive beast, and it's not at all unnatural that he should literally pick himself a graveyard.
Yes, I've heard that theory, but has it ever been proved?
Gentlemen, with my own eyes, I have seen the graveyard of the elephants.
You actually saw it? How did you find it? Why, it must be worth a fortune.
The wealth of ivory deposited there is worth millions of dollars. But the ironic part of this story is that even though I have visited the elephant's graveyard and seen its fortune in ivory, I can never see it again.
But why is that?
Well, why can't you go back? Why can't you see it?
Well, now let me start at the beginning. My partner on this particular expedition was Stanley Carter, an authority on Africa and a famous big game hunter.
Yes, I recall some of Stanley Carter's exploits. We must get him to come to this club.
Yes. Well, as this trip to the elephant's graveyard was something of a wild idea that seemed impractical to most men, Carter and I organized it alone. We were the only white men in the party. We had several dozen natives for our safari, and naturally enough, several elephants for beasts of burden. Among the natives was one rather intelligent fellow who knew the reason for our expedition and seemed to have some meager knowledge of where the graveyard of the elephants might be. His name was Umbala.
Into what part of Africa did you strike? The Congo?
No. We had reason to believe that the location might be in the Ubangi country, just north of the Congo. So our safari made its way through the tortuous jungle, out into the bush, and then up into the higher country far beyond the Bami River. A geological investigation had warned me that this particular country was subject to earth faults, resulting in quakes and landslides, especially after storms. We saw evidence of recent slides. Huge trees had been uprooted, boulders had crashed into each other, and the entire topographical contour of the country was changing. One day, when we were closed in by mountain ranges, Carter and I, with the help of Umbala, decided to try a little-known pass to the northeast. No sooner had we headed in that direction than the first trouble began. We heard an unearthly noise that was apparently...
Wango, Zango,
What's that? What's the matter? What's the matter back there?
What's wrong, Umbala?
Elephant, much frightened. Him no like this place. Him yell.
Halt! Everybody halt!
Is it all 3 elephants or just the leader?
Oh, boss elephant no want to go on. Him scare. Others scare too.
The temperamental elephant. Well, no safari can be stopped for that. Come on there, Bosco. Take it easy, old boy. Nothing's going to hurt you.
Listen, Carter. That's a good sign. Maybe we're near the place. Maybe they're afraid to go near their own graveyard.
By gad, that's an idea. Let's try to go on. Keep an eye on them, Umbala.
Forward! Everybody forward!
All well and good if they don't bolt. The natives are getting nervous, too.
They're scared because the elephants are scared.
I have a hunch we're on the right trail.
The pass we're going through is safe enough. If they run, they can only run back the way we've come.
You hear that? What's that?
Wango, Munga, Shang.
What is it, Umbala?
Him double God. Me know. Him kill all men. Him make us move.
Nonsense. It sounded like thunder.
Well, it couldn't be. The sky is clear.
Let's go on. We'll find out.
Forward! Elephant him plenty scare. Him no light.
I think you're scared, too.
Watch those elephants, Umbala. We'll take care of your devil god.
There's no use being scared by a...
There it is again.
Munga.
We've got to find out what that is. Look, there's another pass leading off to the west. That's not on any map.
Great Scott, man. Look there. Look across that valley.
Bones. Thousands of bleaching bones.
Ivory. Look at the ivory.
Hundreds of tons of ivory.
We found it, Carter. The graveyard of the elephants.
It'll be buried under thousands of tons of earth. Take your last look at it.
Oh, I don't think so. Listen to those elephants. They're going to break. Hold them.
Elephant think him die here. Him no like.
Give me that goat. We've got to control them.
Confound them, and the natives are running too. Stop them, Umbala.
Look, Carter. Look, a landslide. That's our thunder. The whole mountain range is sliding down into that valley.
We've got to get out of here. We'll be crushed by the walls of the pass. Let's go, Norton.
But the elephant's graveyard. We found it.
It'll be buried under thousands of tons of earth. Take your last look at it.
We can't leave it. We can't lose that ivory.
We've got to lose it. There's no other way to save it. Come on, Norton. Run for your life.
Look. The walls of the pass are cracking. Which way can we go?
Run, man. Run back the way we came. It's our only chance.
Can we make it? Look out for those rocks, Carter.
This way. To the right. Look out for that loose earth. It's all sliding down into the valley.
The elephant's graveyard. It may be our graveyard, too.
Now, while there's a chance. This way, Norton. This way. I know we can make it.
Look. The ivory is gone. The earth is swallowing it up.
No man will ever see it again. Forget the ivory, Norton. We're running a race with death.
So that was our exciting but futile trip to the elephant's graveyard.
Great trip. Right.
Did you ever go back? Yes, we went back eventually. But we found the secret of the elephants locked in the heart of Africa. A complete mountain range had been shaken by what a geologist terms a fault. The little valley of the elephant's graveyard was no more. All those bones and all the ivory are now buried under millions of tons of earth and rock. I don't think any man will ever see that sight again. And that, gentlemen, is probably the most thrilling adventure of my career.
Well, that's something to remember. It must have been a real thrill.
Yeah, quite a kick. Who can give us a better story than that?
Well, now, let's see. I think it's going to be up to Rogers to tell us the next, John. Rogers of the South Sea.
That's right. Your turn, Roger. You're elected.
Your turn, Rogers. You're elected.
For the savage fright of a jungle night is a fearful sight to behold. Here the bushmen know that the red moon's glow brings a chill to a heart that's bold. Here the prowling beast has a gory feast, and the earth is untamed and raw. Here the flying dart finds a ready mark, and a life for a life is law.
For
Oh, the ocean's sound with a hollow sound, the crags on a rock-bound coast, and the wind wails by with a scream on high, like the cry of a tortured ghost. Here the prowling beast has a gory feast, and the earth is untamed and raw. Here the flying dart finds a ready mark, and a life for a life is long, and a life for a life is long.
And as the World Adventurers Club bids you goodbye, they cordially invite you to pull up your chair and join their inner circle for the next of the strange adventures in strange lands.
Overall, I thought these were pretty good. In 1932, radio was still trying to figure things out, and so it may seem a bit over the top. Still, these are good time capsules of a way of life some 80 years ago. The World Adventurers Club was transcribed by a California company named Transco. Of course, one of the benefits of transcription is that all 32 of the 15-minute episodes are still available for us to enjoy today. As a tribute to the enduring nature of this series, it should be mentioned that much later, from 1947 to 1948, another series borrowed this format. They created 30-minute episodes under the simplified name The Adventurers Club.
From St. Johnsbury, Vermont to San Jose, California, all across the country, Swan wrappers are pouring in to care. Yes, America has opened its heart to the 30 million little children in Europe who need soap, almost as desperately as they need food. Soap helps prevent disease. Nothing fights germs like cleanliness. And a little thing like soap boosts morale, too. Let's not forget that. And now, soap is actually going to be sent abroad, lots of it, with your help. It's the great Care Swan Soap campaign. The campaign to send white floating swan to kids in Europe through CARE, that great non-profit government-approved organization which has already delivered so many packages to the needy in Europe. Here's how the Care Swan campaign works. Just buy 2 or more cakes of Swan soap. Keep the soap for your own use. And mail the wrappers 2 or 10 or a dozen if you want to CARE, C-A-R-E, Boston 1, Massachusetts, or to your local NBC station. For every 2 wrappers received, Lever Brothers Company will send a regular-sized cake of Swan through CARE to some little kid over there. Delivery is guaranteed.
You want to get in on this great plan of Swans. Just remember, over in Europe, there are 30 million little kids who need soap. And who knows, maybe as some of that dirt is washed away, there might be a smile showing. So start those Swan wrappers coming to CARE, won't you?
All wrappers must be mailed before August 1st, 1949. The address again is CARE, C-A-R-E, Boston 1, Massachusetts, or your local NBC station. Start your Swan wrappers coming tomorrow.
As read by. Amazing stories read by amazing people.
This time on As Read By, we have a short story sent to us by Marie Schallenberg of Kansas Way. Sorry, but she did not include exactly where in Kansas, although I think there's a pretty good chance that it was Kansas City. In her email, she said that this story is a work of fiction that she wrote while in high school. Marie has always wanted to do something with it, but she said she's never had the courage to send it out. Well, that ends today. Here is The Titan of Kansas, written by Marie Schallenberg, and it is read by Ron. Anton was little, even for his age, which was 12. He was just over 3 feet tall and was the butt of many jokes of the other kids in school. He didn't mind that so much, but little things like not being able to reach the sink in the boys' bathroom or see over the top of his desk in class were constant problems. He would always be picked last for any games or sports that took place, and was constantly missed when the teacher took roll. Once, Principal Myers called Anton's mother asking if he was home ill that day. This led to a citywide search for him and ended with more than a few angry comments from his parents. Since that day, the teacher always checks his seat before reporting him absent. It was a normal school day, just like the hundreds before them. Anton was getting off the bus, or rather climbing down the steps might be a better description. He had just reached bottom when a voice behind him said, "Hey, little man." He turned to see a giant of a man standing before him. He must have been 7 feet tall, was dressed in all black, and was holding a flashlight in one hand and a small red wagon in the other. His voice boomed like cannon shots. "What's your name, son?" "Anton," he said confidently as his eyes darted about looking for a teacher. Seeing nothing, he turned back to the bus driver. The bus driver looked at the boy and then at the darkly dressed behemoth. "Who are you?" he asked, and added, "What do you want with this child?" The man sat the red wagon down and reached into his pocket. He pulled out a police badge and showed it to the driver. "I'm Sergeant Maples of the Kansas City Police. I have need of this boy." "I'll not let you take the lad unless we go through proper channels." He reached for his radio and called for Principal Myers. Within a few minutes, the principal arrived. "What's all this, then?" Myers spoke. "I have need of the little boy. A young girl has crawled into a storm drain and is trapped. She's afraid and won't move. I need Anton to go in there and get the girl. All of us are too big. I assure you it's safe, and we have rescue men standing by." "I'll have to clear it with his parents," replied the principal. "Understood. We'll head back and expect you. We're just over the hill there." He again reached into his pocket, this time pulling out a notebook, and scribbled something down. "Here is the address. Please hurry." After a few calls, a worried discussion, and an exchange of information, the group was on its way. Anton's mother would meet them there. They arrived on the scene. Police cars, fire trucks, and even a backhoe littered the area. Men in all forms of dress were gathered around a hole in the ground. One thing they had in common was the look of worry and fear on their faces. A woman was being comforted by her husband, who was also there. From the looks of her, Anton could tell that she was close to breaking. Anton was scared, and he didn't know what to expect other than he was being sent into a hole to lead a little girl out. He wasn't sure what he could do. After all, he was so small. He looked around, and everything looked so big. He wasn't even as tall as half the backhoe tire. Still, he would do what he could for this little girl. It was a simple operation. The rescue team had prepared everything as best they could. They had cleared most of the dirt and debris away from the entrance. All Anton had to do was crawl into the storm drain, find the little girl, and lead her back out again. Simple. One of the firemen told Anton how brave he was, tied a rope to his waist, and handed him a flashlight. "Once you find the girl, just follow the rope back out and you're all done. You got that, Anton?" "I understand," Anton replied. It did sound simple enough, and he could do this. He hoped. Anton took the light and climbed into the pipe. At first, everything was dark and scary, but soon his eyes grew accustomed to the darkness, and he began searching for the little girl. The world outside the dream seemed so big and scary, but here everything size-wise was just right. He could even stand if he wanted to. He called out, "Little girl, my name is Anton. Where are you?" He walked quite a ways and still had not found her, although he could hear her muffled cries if he stood really still. A few minutes later, it was clear that the rope tied to his waist was going to run out. He had a choice to make: untie the rope and continue, or head back. The choice was made for him because the little girl let out a blood-curdling scream. "Snakes!" came the cry. He quickly untied the rope, stood, and ran as fast as he could towards the scream. He had to make several right and left turns. He tried to remember each and every one that he made. Finally, he found the girl. She was at a dead end, and several snakes were indeed in the area. He knew they weren't dangerous and scared them away with the flashlight. The girl grabbed onto Anton. "Help me," she cried. It took a couple minutes for Anton to calm her down, but when he finally did, she told him her story. Her mother had just read her a fable about a fairyland underground. She thought for sure this was the entrance. She followed it but got lost and never found any fairies at all. Now to get back, thought Anton. He took the girl's hand and together they tried to retrace the route. It took a few tries, but finally relief flooded over the boy when he found the fireman's rope. He picked it up, and it was a simple thing to get back to the entrance. When both appeared, the crowd let out a collective sigh, followed by clapping and whooping. The girl's mother ran to her child. Relief and joy replaced the fear and tears of earlier. Anton didn't have to go to school that day. He was the hero of Kansas City and was in every newspaper, radio report, and even got to be on television. When he did get back to school, no one ever teased him about his size again. In fact, he was given the nickname the Titan of Kansas. What a great and fun story. I think Marie did a great job, and I want to thank you for it. Marie told me one more thing about her story. Even though she called it fiction, everything that was in it came from a real-life event. Who was the little girl in the tale? Well, it was none other than Marie herself. How about that? If you want to hear your story on the show, please give it to us. We want to hear it, and you want it told. Marie showed how simple it really is to do. Just send an email to ronsamazingstories@gmail.com. If you need help, I will help. If you want to read it live yourself, we can do that too. But none of it happens unless you do your part. So get your story to me today. I loved Marie's story and hope more of you send in stories like she did. Next week, I will be taking my spring break, and we will have a repeat show. I've not picked which one it is yet, but I promise it'll be a good one. If you want to keep up with what's happening on Ron's Amazing Stories, please follow us on Twitter, Facebook, or sign up for the weekly newsletter. All the links you'll need and access to the blog can be found at ronsamazingstories.com. Thank you for listening, and I hope you come again to find out what are Ron's Amazing Stories.
All of the vintage audio used in the podcast is believed to be in the public domain. Ron's Amazing Stories does not own the rights to any of the old-time radio used here. If you hold the rights to any of the shows played, please contact us immediately at ronsamazingstories.com.